Good. Well, I've got absolutely no idea what's going on or whether or not that countdown video just played, but we're here now. My stream froze. I don't know what's going on, but we'll just get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video on Cobbler's Vlogs. The technical issues, it's the first time I've ever done it and it's all gone wrong, so who cares? All the usuals are here in the chat. We've got Adam Page, Luke NTFC, Kieran Randalls is here. Hello to you all. This is our first ever live preview show. I know, exciting, isn't it? We're going to be talking to Liam, an MK DONS fan. He's from the MK1 Podcast. Which you can see the little scrolly thing at the bottom, which I'm very proud of. So yeah, we're going to be talking to Liam all about the MK Dons. There'll be a chance at the end for you guys to ask Liam any questions that you want to ask him about Milton Keynes. So make sure you get those in the chat and we'll be asking those at the end. So let's get straight into it then. Liam, first of all, it's a tough time for all of us. How are you getting on? How are you coping under lockdown?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Had a difficult few weeks regarding family issues and things like that, but glad to see the back of it and get back on focus on podcasting in Milton Keynes.
Good stuff. So starting with Milton Keynes then, that's what we're here to talk about. Obviously, at the start of the season, you were very much around us in the table. You weren't doing too well, and then you seem to have really kicked on. You're up in 13th and we're now in the relegation zone. So what sort of caused that to happen?
I suppose, as always, with a new system that needs to be incorporated, it takes a long time for the players to adjust to it, especially when it's passing first, keeping the ball a lot philosophy. And, we didn't get our first win until we played Gillingham in mid-October. And since December time, we've really started to play really well. And we've been quite fortunate in the fact that we had a January transfer window, brought in quite a few players, and they've gelled in quite well, and we had I think it's six incoming, 6 outgoings, and for them to gel so well into the actual squad is quite rare, and you don't see that at too many clubs. But yeah, I'd say it's been long overdue. We were playing teams like Ipswich and Gillingham when they were at top of the table towards the start of the season and played them off the park, and then we were playing other teams and just not getting the results we deserved. So I think for most Milton Keynes Dons fans, it's been a long time coming. And the results we've seen recently, as I'm sure we'll get on to, has been a testament to the process working and players starting to understand the system more and getting what we deserve, quite frankly.
Yeah, fair enough. So usually at the start of our kind of previews, our normal previews, we have a look at where the two teams are on the table and their recent form. So the MK Dons are in 13th with 38 points. They've played 28 games, won 10, drawn 8, lost 10. So pretty even on both sides. And you're in pretty impressive form by the looks of it. Last time out, it was a 1-0 win against Hull City. Before that, you beat Rochdale 4-1. And then before that, I believe you drew to Sunderland. So you've been in recent form, good recent form. What's sort of been the key to that? Most of them were on the road as well. What's sort of been the key to your good form recently?
I suppose getting some players back fit. For a little while, we had basically no midfield. And we've seen the likes of Andrew Sermon come back, and we had Louis Thompson briefly for a period, but he's now back injured. But also bringing in players like Matt O'Reilly, another technical player to go alongside Scott Fraser. And those two in the midfield have been really good in terms of our play style, in terms of keeping the ball. And against the bigger teams, we've really seen players like Fraser step up. There was rumours of him going to Sunderland in the summer window last year, and both games this season against him, he's done well, and of course the away trip there he got his goal. So yeah, I'd say it's a combination of getting some players back, but also really starting to gel as a team better. The new recruits are really coming in as well, like Harry Darling, who we'll get on to later, who's been an absolute revelation at centre back for us. And yeah, it's been a good past few weeks for sure.
So what have you made of the Cobblers so far this season? Do you expect us to be where we are in the table? Are you not surprised, obviously, considering we've just come back up from League Two? And what do you think our kind of chances are of staying up? What have you made of us this season?
I mean, it's an absolute dogfight down that end of the table, isn't it? I'm kind of glad we're not a part of it, to be honest. There's at least 7 or 8 teams that could go down. There's only four of them can. In terms of Cobblers' point of view, it's struggled to see where the goals are coming from, right? I believe a top goal scorer is only on like 4 or 5 goals, and one of them has been shipped off out on loan elsewhere in Matt Smith. So yeah, I mean, Cobblers to me have always been a team that I've always dreaded playing. Maybe it's because we're quite local teams to each other, and it's always bigged up the type of games we play against each other. But this season, yeah, Cobblers have been interesting. I don't think they're as bad as their position says they are. And of course, since Brady's come in, you've played better. And of course, the result midweek against Ipswich was a good result. Ipswich haven't been the best team in the world, but to get a point against a team where they are on the table is always good. So yeah, I can see Cobblers getting out of trouble. It's just a case of trying to score some more goals and get some confidence into them players because they need it for sure.
Good. Well, that's sort of reassuring, I guess. Again, the recent form is nowhere near in our favour at the minute. We've talked about that. We're down, in the relegation zone. You're up there in 13th quite comfortably in mid-table. The head-to-head doesn't really swing our way either. We've played you 17 times. We've beaten you 3 times. There's been 4 draws, and you've won the other 10. Last time out was obviously that Papa John's Trophy game, and the last league game was League One. You mentioned you don't look forward to playing us. I think that links quite nicely to a question that we've got in the chat here from Luke, if it pops up. There we go. So do MK play better at home or away? Because and specifically against us as well is sort of something I'm going to bolt onto that, because we never seem to win at Stadium MK. And I came and spoke to you on your podcast last night, and you guys kind of were saying, yeah, well, we never win at Sixfields either. Obviously, it's your turn. We're at Stadium MK. How do you think it's going to go in terms of the home or away thing?
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about the Sixfield thing. We never win there. But I say this season, if you look at the form table, we're 9th away and 14th at home. I'd say a lot of the home form is due to the pitch. The pitch is in terrible condition, and due to a money thing, we can't fix it right now. We had a brief period around January where we could have fixed it, but the clubs didn't have the money to basically do it. So that's how it has impacted our play. We've only lost 3 games at home this season, but we've only won 3 as well. So there's been a lot of draws in there. And away from home, we're playing on different pitches. For the likes of Sunderland and the Hull, who have a bit more money to invest into their pitch and their ground staff, and we're benefiting off that because our play style kind of suits that. So right now, away definitely, but typically our home form has been much better than our away form. So it's a bit of a complete contrast in what typically is.
Yeah, we've had similar problems with our pitch. John Brady, our caretaker manager, said that we played well in Ipswich on Tuesday night, and Ipswich have got fantastic facilities and a fantastic pitch, which is kind of why we could play the way we did. For some reason, we trained on our pitch because we usually train at Malton College. I don't know if you know it or not, but we usually train at Malton College, and there was apparently privacy issues there. Apparently college students for. Supposedly, I don't think anybody that goes to Malton College is probably a Cobblers fan or would sort of run across the pitch, during a training session. So it seemed, just ridiculous, the fact that we weren't training there anymore. We seem to be back on AstroTurf now, and that's kind of settled our pitch down a little bit. And we've obviously had 3 postponements this year. I think 2 of the 3 were definitely at home. And that's really not helped the pitch. It's not been good. But why we trained on it, I don't know. So have you guys been training on yours, or is it just is it being used by? Is there other teams using it? Why is it so bad? Because normally, size of your stadium, you'd think it's a sort of elite sort of level into facility, I guess.
Yeah, last season when it wasn't COVID-19 essentially, we did spend a lot of time training on the pitch, maybe a day or 2 before the game, just to get the players familiar with the turf, work through structure and shape and things like that, which tends to happen quite a lot in the few days previous to games. But this season, no, we train on AstroTurf basically the whole year. We're in works to get a new training ground where the Milton Keynes Bowl is, or it used to be at least anyway. So that's a long-term project. But for now, we're kind of just training on AstroTurf. We were using some massive recreation area previously, but we haven't been using that this season. So yeah, it's kind of been a whole mix of areas, but the sooner we get training ground, the better, basically, because we've been needing it for absolutely donkeys, probably since the club was founded, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think we've never had a kind of permanent club-owned training ground. I know quite a few clubs now. I think Fleet have managed to pull some money together to build their own, haven't they? And that looks quite a nice facility. And the same with, I think Lincoln got one with their FA Cup money that they had a few years ago. So let's move on then to this Saturday in terms of who's going to influence the game. I've picked out 4 MK DONS players. Whenever I've spoken to opposition fans before on other podcasts or whatever, and I've been asked to pick out a player, I always pick out a player and they turn around and go, oh, he's injured. Oh, he's suspended. Oh, he's gone out on loan. So every time I get this wrong. So I picked out 4 here. And I obviously listened to you guys last night. So I'm kind of hoping that that I did listen properly and that they are fit and available. So I've gone for, I'll start with Andrew Sermon, who I think is a name that people will recognise in the chat. He's correct me if I'm wrong, but he used to play for Bournemouth, was playing with them in the Premier League. Is that right? So tell me about him and the influence he'll have on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it was in the first lockdown, he was playing for Premier League football in Bournemouth, as you said. So the fact that he's playing League One football now is crazy. But yeah, he's kind of been that pivot hard midfielder since we've had the injuries to like Jordan Houghton and David Kasumu, who are both expected to be back this Saturday. As he's kind of been a mainstay in that team, and we were lucky enough to extend his contract till the end of the season. It's oozes class, to be honest, in that middle of the park, and really keeps the game ticking. With the expansive football you play and the technical players that we have in Fraser and O'Reilly, you really need that guy like Sermon in there who's just winning through the basics and the gritty stuff and just win the battles in the middle of the park. And we're fortunate to have his quality in the squad, and he should start on Saturday. He should be a key player, definitely in the middle of the park.
Yeah, that's cool. I think he's definitely one name that popped out. I was like, Andrew Sermon, League One, what's that all about? And I know, I'm not sure if he's still there, but I remember seeing Charlie Daniels sign for Shrewsbury as well. I think, I don't know if he went to Shrewsbury first and then came to you guys, Sermon. But the next one I picked out is Scott Fraser, another midfielder. I wasn't sure if you played because the BBC Sport website showed your lineup from your last game. And I looked at ours and it lined us up in like a 4-1-2-1-2 diamond, which is nowhere near what we played. So on there they had Fraser down as a winger. Is he a winger or is he more of an attacking midfielder, or is he just a centre half?
He's definitely not a winger. No, most of the time he plays as a 10, so the attacking midfielder. Hence his number 10 as well, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah, he's our best player. We talk about a lot on the pod how he's our creative hub, and we call him the Scottish Wizard. He's just the best player in the team, and there has been some competition recently from some new recruits that have come in. But yeah, he's just really good, and the fact that he's at Milton Keynes Dons, to be honest, is crazy. You know, he had offers for the Championship at the start of the season, turned them down, I don't imagine he'll be here for too much longer if he continues in the form he's in. But we're glad to have him as we do now, and he's definitely the danger man to watch out for on Saturday.
All right, I've got 2 more for you, both the strikers. The first one, I don't know, some people, there seems to be a perception amongst Cobblers fans that Milton Keynes are sort of unbearable because they seem to, we're going to talk about this a bit later, but some MK fans seem to think this is some sort of massive rivalry. I know neither of us are kind of in that category, but for me, I don't think there would be anything more unbearable than Milton Keynes fans singing Will Griggs on fire with that drum that you've got behind the goal. So tell us about Will Grigg. How's he been for you? I know he's not really been on fire anywhere since 2016. So talk to us about Will Grigg, and I think you signed him on deadline day, didn't you? That must have been quite exciting.
Yeah, there was rumours leading up to a few weeks before that about we were interested in him. Manager said no at the time, and then obviously deadline day came around, signed him on loan to end of the season, and played 2 games so far. Pretty impressive in both. I got 2 assists against Rochdale in the 4-1 win, and was unlucky not to score against Hull. I was wonder save from Matt Ingram, to be honest. I don't know if you saw it, but it was literally a diving header and he had his arm out and saved it from going in. It's a really good save. Impressive. It's interesting to see him on Saturday because there was no Cameron Jerome, who's our joint top goal scorer, alongside Scott Fraser. So Grigg was having to play a different role for us, sort of trying to get into link-up play a bit more. And at first, he didn't like he was up to it, but eventually he grew into the game, grew into the role, and really showed what he's about. The fact that a lot of our fans were really intrigued to get him back, as we know that our coaching staff can really work on Grigg and essentially get out of him what he didn't get at Sunderland after he didn't really want to move there in the first place. And yeah, early signs so far are that he's just doing really well, and hopefully he can get his first goal so he can, as you say, start getting the Will Griggs on Fire song going.
Oh no, just please. Well, we can't be having that. Out is Joe Mason at the minute. Someone's asked about Cameron Jerome. I think he just mentioned that it looks like he's going to be out on Saturday afternoon. But Joe Mason is kind of the last one that I picked out. And then is there anybody else that we should be looking out for in the DONS squad on Saturday?
Yeah, Cameron Jerome, we don't know. Basically, he was ill last week with non-COVID-19 illness. So there's been no news whether he's back or not. So we have to assume he's out. We haven't heard anything else. So yeah, Joe Mason, it's been a difficult season for him. He's in and out of the team quite a bit. And obviously got a hat-trick against Fleetwood, which has kind of been his stand-up performance of the season. But it's difficult. He's been getting games. He's been doing okay. But of course, if Cammy's back on Saturday, he could be the player to lead the team in favour of him. In terms of other players, Harry Darlan, as I mentioned, he's been signing of the season for me, or definitely up there at least. Play centre-back at that back three that we play in our 3-5-2 formation. And I think he's won 3 Man of the Match awards already. It's just a brick wall, to be honest. And I was quite worried because we lost Richard Keogh to Huddersfield about who we were going to bring in to try and replace him. But bringing in Darlin was a masterstroke of a move from Martin and the recruitment team. And he's played really well. So yeah, Harry Darlin, if you get past him on Saturday, you've done well for sure.
Well, we've had more managers than we've scored goals this year, so I think you'll be all right with that one. The last kind of team news, squad-related question is Dominic Keach here has asked in the chat, do the MK Dons have any players that have any potential that are up and coming? I think, have you got Ethan Laird on loan? Is he from Manchester United, or am I just completely wrong with that? And is there any kind of homegrown talent coming through as well?
Yeah, Ethan Laird on loan from Man United. For me, he's been a bit touch and go. Attackingly, he's brilliant. He plays wing back for us in a 3-5-2, so he's very attack based. So his defensive work isn't his main priority, but he still needs to defend because you got to defend as a team these days in football. So that has been a bit lackluster for me, but he's definitely got potential. And of course, Man United are keeping close eyes on him and seeing what he can do in terms of getting them squad next season. Some of our own prospects, haven't seen too much from him past few months, with David Kasumu. Plays defensive mid or the bottom of the centre midfielders. He's a terrific player, really composed, good on the ball, eye for a pass, and he'll be playing at a high level sooner rather than later. And the same can be said for Matthew Sorinola. He's struggling to get into the team at the moment just with the competition we've got at those positions, but he's a left wing back / right wing back, and he's definitely got an eye for a goal. We've seen it against ASD Wimbledon where he scored it was a deflected goal, but it was a screamer of a goal either way. And so those are probably two in Kasumu and Sorino. Those are the two players to watch out for in terms of potential players in the squad that could go to a higher level.
Nice. So thank you to everyone that's watching so far. If you haven't already, this is the typical YouTube a bit. Please do leave a like on the stream if you haven't already. And if you're new, if you're an MK Dons fan, you've never seen my face, but you may have heard Liam's voice on the MK1 podcast, please do subscribe to the channel if you're already. The next question from the chat, also that's another thing, keep your questions coming in. We've got one here from Reliable who has asked, are MK Dons fans happy with where they are in the table at the minute?
Yeah, I'd say so. I believe we're 13th now, so on the cusp of the top half of the league. We're worried, well, some fans are worried in October, November that we'd be in the relegation zone or fighting to stay into the league in general. But yeah, we've pushed on, signed some really good players in January, and we're finally putting the form in that we deserved at the start of the year. It's a shame we had a slow start, because if we didn't have that slow start, we could have been perhaps challenging for the playoffs if we had put a few results together. But, it's promising times. The club's on the up as far as we're concerned. And yeah, this season, we're happy for it to be a progression season. Then next year, hopefully push on a bit more.
Cool. So we've mentioned this kind of rivalry thing, the fact that, we seem to see MK Dons fans that seem to think they hate Northampton. Maybe there's some Northampton fans, maybe because it's more, obviously our traditional rival is Peterborough. There's quite a lot of history behind that. And then, I don't know, there may be some Cobblers fans that are kind of my age that think maybe we hate MK because they're quite close, or we've played them quite recently. I've certainly felt like it's a derby game whenever I've gone. There's always been especially at Sixfields, maybe not so much at Stadium MK, but there's always been sort of a big match atmosphere that's kind of surrounded it. What are your thoughts on that? Is it just a local game, or is it, we hate Cobblers, we have to beat these at all costs on Saturday afternoon?
It's probably the middle, to be honest. I view Cobblers in the same sense I view Posh, in the sense that they're always competitive games because we play them quite a bit, and we want to win. Of course, it's a local game, and there's always quite a lot of just banter before the game between the two fan bases. But no, I wouldn't say it's a rivalry. The only rivalry we really have is with AC Wimbledon, and for obvious reasons. I don't see it as a quote unquote derby. I just see it as a local competitive game where we want to win and get the 3 points, which luckily for us has happened more often than it hasn't. So yeah, we're fortunate in that sense.
Cool. Yeah, I think most people I think Daniel has just said here that it's kind of a young fans derby, which probably could be through this as the future generations come through. Maybe it could sort of develop into that. George has asked, is there actually anybody at the ground? No, George, it's UK because they all just turn up dressed as black plastic seats. So that's kind of how things work there. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for you. Unless there's kind of any more questions that come in the chat, then we will get round to them. How do you see this Saturday going? Do you think it's going to be comfortable? Do you think we're going to make it tough for you or not?
I never view these games as comfortable against Northampton, to be honest. They're always edgy games where there's a lot of build up, as we say, and they're always quite close, apart from the occasional anomalies when we go to Sixfields, it seems. But yeah, I do think we'll get the 3 points eventually. I think it'll take a little while. I think Northampton will be quite hard to break down, especially with Brady now, who seems to have gotten into the players a bit more and trying to get them to play a bit more football, which Curl couldn't do. But yeah, my score prediction is 1-0 Milton Keynes Dons.
Cool. Do you think, maybe just the last one that I've just thought of, do you think this is a good time to play us with, this kind of new manager bounce starting to kick in a little bit? Or do you think maybe not so much?
I think from our perspective, it is a good time to play anyone in the league. I feel we're one of the better teams in the league. I think we're third in the form table from the last 6 games. Of course, I would have preferred to have played you a few weeks ago, because obviously you had a Curl still in charge, and by the looks of it, you were just rock bottom. But yeah, I think with our form right now, you've got to go into any game confident that you're going to win, because as I said, we're one of the better teams in the league at the moment. But no, I do think it'll be edgy, but I think the quality that we have on the pitch will hopefully come through.
Cool. So just a little bit of, just to inject some confidence, you've come on here and I've given you a bit of slack about this sort of the whole MK thing. Lucy Mayfair has given you a bit of confidence. If Kean Bolger is on the team sheet on Saturday, she is refusing to watch the game. So if he is on the team sheet, you'll be tuning in and not waiting to get going. You said 1-0 to the MK Dons as your prediction. Who's going to score it?
Matt O'Reilly.
Fair enough. We've got we've got some confident Cobblers fans. We've got 2-0 Cobblers. We've got 1-1. We'll take that. We've got Charles here who has said 7-0 Cobblers. So if that happens, then you'll be on here straight after the match and we'll be going,
yeah.
What have we got here? Change of captain and formation. Hardest cover plan. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically you are the host, or the founder of the MK1 Podcast. If you just want to plug that, tell us where we can find you and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so on Twitter we're at MK1 Podcast, or you can search on Spotify or Apple Podcast, a platform you use, search MK1 Podcast. Obviously do weekly podcasts, if not more than that, regarding reviewing games, previewing games, and occasionally we have some of the coaching staff on, had the manager on, had a head of recruitment on. So yeah, good time. And I imagine if you win on Saturday, you won't listen to it, but in the future, if you listen to us tomorrow, if we do lose, then listen to us.
Cool. And here's just a bit more confidence. You've already just seen this. Lucy Mayfair says if Older scores, she'll kiss everybody for the next 2 days. That's how unlikely it is that he'll even play, let alone scores. So that's even more confidence for you. You've been brilliant, Liam. Thank you very much for coming on. Despite the slack we've given you, you're always going to get it as an MK Dons fan, or if it was a Peterborough fan, it would be 10 times worse. I promise you that. So I'm sure you're probably used to it as well. That smile tells it all. Cool. So thank you very much for coming on, Liam. Make sure you go and check out Liam's podcast. Please make sure you drop a like on the stream, or if you're watching it back as a video, make sure to leave a like. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye.